to, for sure.
If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
It's Global Morning on Global Television, and it's great to be here to grace your television set this morning. I am Jumai Manson, and if you're just tuning in and wondering, hey, where is the Tag Team Friday? Well, of course, Godwin is within the building. He'll be joining soon. And at this point, we've been hearing so many things that has happened in the course of the week, from the recall of Natasha Akpoti to the health minister talking about the excess salt consumption, and of course to the hike in transportation, where people are finding it really, really hard to go visit their loved ones. But at the same time, it's a weekend, and of course our Muslim faithfuls are winding down their fast, which is amazing for most of our Muslim faithful friends. Are excited about that, and may Allah accept all your acts of ibadah. Now, moving on now, talking about people that have to do with a lot of stress issues, stressors to actually calm people down. A lot of people are wondering what is really happening when it comes to the hike in electricity tariff, when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to so many issues making round. And of course, let us not forget the ups and the downs. Of course, the state of emergency that is ongoing in River State at the moment, and of course some foreigners coming out in a nightclub saying, Wike, please forgive for bar. Now that's the extent to which Nigerians can actually go. Well, in the course of Global Morning, we're going through a lot, from talking about like I mentioned, excessive salt consumption to curb hypertension and cardiovascular disease, and then of course the hike in transportation. Some of our correspondents will be delving into it, but in the course of that, Global Morning has a newspaper review segment. We have the first and second discuss, and let's not forget the AM news, which will be hitting your airways. But at the same time, just relax, take a deep breath, and know that everything is going to be fine. But you know, last week we spoke about the reduction of food in Kano State, where many individuals have said, is it because of the fast that is ongoing that the food price has actually reduced, which is a good thing, and we hope it stays that way. Yes, fingers crossed. We hope fully it will stay that way. Do not go anywhere. Like I mentioned, it's Global Morning. Stick around.
That Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. You are welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, it's Global Morning on Global Television. I mentioned before that my co-host Godwin Sunday is here with me in the building talking about, I'm going to put him on the spot, but first of all, good morning, Godwin. How are you doing?
Very well.
Well done. Let me talk about excess, we're talking about salt consumption. How do you like your salt when it comes to food?
For people that know how to cook, so don't put me on that spot, Joe.
People that know how to cook. But
people that know how to cook, they able to measure the level of salt. For me, I don't know. I like good food.
You like, it's not about good food. There are some people that, I know someone, like a colleague of ours here, when she's eating something, she must sprinkle salt when it's already cooked, which is really dangerous to health. And that is why, in a bid to reduce excessive salt consumption and curb hypertension and cardiovascular disease, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare has launched a national guideline for sodium reduction. It just seems that we take, our salt intake is so much, and it's causing a lot of issues when it comes to the heart. It's causing a lot of, there's so many hypertensive individuals out there. They do not know that it's the intake of this sodium that is causing all of this. But let's quickly go, let's listen to one of the reports from the Ministry of Health, and let's just delve into it a little bit. Stay tuned.
The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare has taken a significant step towards promoting public health with the launch of the National Guideline for Sodium Reduction. The guideline sets mandatory sodium limits in processed foods and promotes public education campaigns to raise awareness about the risks associated with excessive sodium consumption. The Honorable Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako, unveiled the guideline, emphasizing its significance in addressing the rising burden of non-communicable diseases in Nigeria, while urging the food industry to embrace reformulation and reduce sodium content in processed and packaged foods.
Today also marks another significant milestone as we not only launch the sodium reduction guideline, but also unveil the national guideline for food handlers' medical tests. This guideline is a critical step in ensuring the health and safety of food supply chain by unifying and ensuring regular medical examinations are conducted for food handlers. Together, these guidelines form a cohesive framework that directly supports the implementation of the national policy on food safety and quality and its implementation plan 2023.
Emphasizing Nigeria's commitment to reducing non-communicable diseases associated with excessive sodium intake, DG NAFDAC Professor Mojisola Adeyeye says the World Health Organization recommends reducing sodium intake to less than 5 grams of salt or 2 grams of sodium per day.
The World Health Organization has consistently emphasized the need for sodium reduction as a cost-effective strategy for improving public health outcomes. In line with this, the federal government of Nigeria, through the collaborative effort of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, NAFDAC, and other NDAs and stakeholders have developed this national guideline as a strategic framework to guide policy implementation, industry reformulation, and public awareness on sodium intake reduction.
Commending the initiative, the Executive Director, CAPA, Akimbode Oluwafemi, says the launch marks another major milestone in safeguarding public health in Nigeria.
Public health through the promotion of healthy diets. And we strongly believe that the effective implementation of the national guideline on sodium reduction in Nigeria will help in no small measure in reducing excessive sodium intake among the populace and thereby reduce cases of cardiovascular diseases and non-communicable diseases in Nigeria.
The launch of the guideline is expected to have a positive impact on the health and well-being of Nigerians and to contribute to the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
All right, you are welcome back. We just heard that brief from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, talking about the intake of salt. Now, we have to reduce the salt consumption. It's really dangerous to health when you take excess of it. And people should realize that you do not put salt in your food when you're done, when it's cooked. It's dangerous. Do you know that? All you know how to do is eat. You do not know what salt. Now, bring it to a more pressing issue about the high cost of transportation. Now, a lot of people in Kano State have said they cannot go and visit their loved ones. And now that the Ramadan fast is coming to an end, of course, the Idri Fitri is around the corner. A lot of people find it hard. You know, people will be traveling today, tomorrow to connect with their loved ones to celebrate at about this time. But you know, Muslims, as they prepare for this, they're still, you know, Nigerians are still facing the doubting challenges worsening by high cost of transportation. Now let's go over to Kano and listen to what our correspondent has to say about this pressing issue.
Usually marked by communal prayers and family gatherings, this religious festival is now threatened by the reality of financial difficulties for many families across the country. Ibrahim Ahmad is a factory worker in Kano, traveling to Maiduguri to spend Salah with his family at the cost of 25,000 naira. He and other travelers had to cut down their spendings to cover the cost of transportation.
You see, we have to thank God for seeing the beginning and the end of this Ramadan. But things are very tough. You can see I'm traveling to Maiduguri, but the transportation is highly disturbing. But we have no choice. We have to reduce our spendings.
Removal of petroleum subsidy by the government has continued to increase transportation cost at an alarming rate.
Now, you see, before now, travelers will be coming here queuing for receipt. But today, they don't come. And instead of coming to travel, most people prepare to come here and send message to their loved ones, because the transportation is so high that so many people cannot afford to travel to their respective destination to celebrate Salah with their families.
Commuters say the economic challenges faced by many Muslims during this important period are numerous. But the high cost of transportation fee is particularly disturbing.
The transportation, this thing for Nigeria, the transportation is so much. They're supposed to reduce the transportation for us because something hurts now. Some they want to travel, but they don't get the money. That's why. Even us now, we want to travel, we don't get the money.
By implications, many individuals in Kano are now forced to decide between celebrating the Eid with their loved ones and meeting their basic needs. From Kano, Idris Juprin reporting for Global Television News.
All right, you're welcome back. Now you can see the high cost of transportation. A lot of people are still going through that. You know, we're talking about fuel, we're talking about CNG, a lot of things encompass. And now this, a lot of people cannot travel to visit their loved ones. I was speaking to a friend of mine, Aisha, and she's like, Jumai, a lot of people are thinking I'm going to come to Mina, but you know, with all of this stress, I'll just stay at home and celebrate with people around. The high cost of transportation is really a problem, right?
Yeah, even prior to this time. Well, prior to this time, there have been a lot of hike in terms of transportation across the country. December here, we just saw peep from the price of fuel for the air flying public. Also, the road flying, the road going public. So a lot of those people complained even December. A lot of people could not travel back home.
A lot.
The Eid fatigue period is one period that most Muslims prefer to spend time with.
Of course, to connect with loved ones.
One would have expected at this point that we should have been getting the government policies in this regard, where we have to subsidize the price of transportation, to ensure that there are free buses that could take people from one location to the other.
Yes.
It's not we don't take it for granted that people waited and fasted for this long period. We hope that the government will be able to look into this and be able to find a way around it to ensure that the train systems are working, and
very importantly,
have a discount for faithfuls that have been waiting.
Not just Muslims, every one of us. When it comes to festivity, there should be discount, because it's time for each and every one of us to connect with loved ones, family members. And then talking about that, let's just delve into, I know you're more into the political aspect. Let's talk a bit about this recall of Natasha Akpoti. Let's talk briefly about it.
Yeah. So, when I know that the Natasha's case has been one very interesting one. Now, the reason why is the Natasha case has been one interesting case is because anytime I talk about Natasha, the first thing that comes to my mind is Jumai.
Really? Because she's from Kogi State. Someone, by the way, called me up yesterday and said, God, why are Kogi women so beautiful? I was like, well, I don't know.
I don't know that part of the story. But then, let's I really don't know about the story. I know Nigerian women are generally.
But Kogi specifically. Really?
So,
you have one close to you, right?
Couple people will not come for me.
Okay.
People are very beautiful. They won't come for me.
Go over to Natasha's case. Let's visit Natasha.
If you look at Natasha's case, it keeps metamorphosing.
It does. Too many things.
So we felt at first it was the case of assault and, like she said, sexual harassment.
Yes.
And it started from the sitting position. Where she said they moved out to...
Yes, without informing her prior to the time.
To that time, for her to find out that she has been moved to the seat just at the plenary. And she wasn't comfortable with that.
At all.
That was where the conversation started. It now escalated to
sexual harassment.
From there, Natasha has moved to IPU. To air her view that she's being maliciously incited or something like that. So, all of those conversations, we thought we've seen the worst of it until we started seeing the recall process.
Exactly.
Videos started surfacing online where you see Natasha, you saw people in their rooms signing recall. And just 3 days ago, that was on Tuesday, INEC now, they submitted that stuff to INEC.
Exactly.
INEC now brought back and told them, hey, they didn't do the right thing.
The procedure.
What they do is the documentation for this, what the act says is that you must enter the emails, they must enter, people that are calling, doing the recall process, must enter their phone numbers, they must enter their emails, and some other vital information that were. But the shocking part of this whole recall is the fact that prior to that election, we had about 100 plus thousand people, 132,000 people that registered, that voted in that election.
Very true.
The recall process, we have 250 plus people that came out from that constituency to do the recall process. So I'm beginning to wonder how the mathematics works.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you how it works because, this is a Kogi issue, and the 2 times we've seen recalls in Nigeria has been from Kogi State, and likely we saw that of Dino Milai.
Yes, we did.
That of what is going on in
Natasha, of course.
How did we get to 132,000 people voted in the entire federal constituency? Time for recall. 250 plus came out to fill that recall form. This can only be miracle. It can only be miracle, and this is the miracle happening in Kogi State.
Well, of course, my co-host also put me on the spot, but it's fine. But at the same time, we're just going to see how this whole process plays out. We're going to be watching closely like a hawk. We're going to be watching to see how it is. We're going to see how this whole recall process is going to, unravel.
It even work. As it stands right now, it won't work.
Well, let's just hope and see whether it's going to work or not.
Still, Dino Milai's recall.
What?
The fact that after all of this process was completed, they had to now tell, IUNEC could now go back to the constituency and tell everybody that signed that recall the form to come back and sign and cross your name to it. That's the final stage.
Okay, let us just see how
I
well.
hope that 250,000 people will come out to indicate their interest again in front of.
I don't like the way you said come out and the way you're moving your hands. But at the same time, everything is going to be fine. Let's just see how well this whole thing plays out, and I just hope the right thing is done. Really, it doesn't matter. Let us just set a pace and example for our judicial system. Let's just set a pace. Let's just see. This is a very all eyes, both international, national, local. Everyone is watching to see how well this whole thing plays out. And of course, a lot of things has been going on in the media when it comes to I don't want to mention it, but they said three main people are the three arms of government, but it's fine. But people will always say what they do not understand or what they do not believe or what they believe in. But at the same time, I just hope the right thing is done. It's very important. And it should set as an example for others to learn from. We should learn from.
But let me even interrupt you a bit. The interesting part about the conversation.
Be careful.
Say that Natasha was not a performing senator. That was a sad thing to say.
That was a very sad thing to say. I didn't want to mention that, so they won't think, because you said anytime you hear Natasha Akpoti, what comes to mind is Jumai Manson. But it's fine. Because you know that I am not a feminist. I only say the right thing. And when it's time to support women, I will support when you're doing the right thing. It's very important. Like I said, at the beginning, I said it's a two-way thing. Before all of this unfolded, I said something. I said the reason why she acted in that light is because it is just transfer of aggression from what she has been going through in the house, and it all came out. And who did I say? I told someone, I told you so. Because of the statement which he made and all, there's always a way. And for Natasha, there's a way. There's the Ethics and Privileges Department in the Senate that you have reported and said, hey, that outburst. Like, it's a balance. It's very important that we understand that. Let's quickly go on a very quick break. And when we come back, is a newspaper review segment. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
is Global Morning. You are welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, what were you doing all this while? Well, you're welcome to Global Morning. And about this point is the newspaper review segment, and we'll be starting with the first newspaper of the day, and it's the Daily Trust. Now, on the Daily Trust, below the nameplate of the Daily Trust, it says, and you can find this on page 4, it says Constitution Amendment, Rep rescind decision on immunity. Many flee as insurgents attack Adamawa village. And you can find that read on page 7. Mahama to Tinubu, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso issue complicated. And you can find that on page 7. And the star story on the Daily Trust is Lagos funds. Atiku denies link with Sanwo-Olu as EFCC probes Achimugun. And below that it says Tinubu's second term assured at Babio. And the writer there says on the Daily Trust, it says NNPCL set to sell shares to public, and you can find that read on page 22. And it says shooting of immigration officer by Chinese, attack on Nigeria, says minister. Meningitis kills 3 in Gombe. Federal government deploys teams in Kebbi, Sokoto, Kastida. You can find that on page 6. And those are the issues on the Daily Trust. Which one picks your fancy?
Well, the one where you said the Tinubu's second term secured, I thought that by now we should be allowing the politics to be a bit relaxed. You have a lot of things to deal with, infrastructural things to talk about in the country right now. Other pressing needs.
Other pressing needs, really. Like we're talking about transportation now. I'm talking about the electricity hike. You know how you pay the sum of 50,000 naira, you get about 19 point something. And it doesn't go anywhere in a day, like a media outfit like ours. You know how much we spend on electricity. Talk more of households. We have a lot of pressing issues when it comes to unemployment, insecurity, high cost of food, with inflation, a lot of things, a lot of pressing issues. The high cost of housing. Talking about how you'd be surprised, low cost areas you pay a year 1 point, 2 points, sometimes a 1 bedroom area, especially when it's a very high profile area. You'd be surprised you get 7.8 for a 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom apartment. It's something that we should look into. But for me,
conversation that we should get the Senate President talk about
on a daily
basis, coming out to say, hey, the cost of transportation is high.
Exactly.
In Abuja,
it's high.
Laws in place to ensure that landlords regulate the price of houses in Nigeria, where you don't charge more than A, Y, Z, or what have you. Look at all of those conversations.
But I think if we're going to be fair, I think before we get to that point, building materials should come to a low first when it comes to cement, when it comes to blocks and all of that. I think that's when we can start the conversation, because the landlords would say, you did not build my house for me.
Speaking of that, most landlords the houses were built more than 20 years ago.
True.
Increasing the prices of the rents right now.
That's why it's an investment.
If it's for maintenance, we understand that.
I was going to say that part.
But then, if you want to do maintenance, you don't increase your price. There should be laws that says you can't increase your rent more than 200%. You see, landlords move their rent from 600,000 naira to 800,000 naira.
That's a lot.
Just in the space of 1 year. Sometimes you get those adjustments happen twice, and you get threatened that if you cannot pay, you should move.
Okay.
Lagos State have something like this where in Lagos State you can't just do this. You can't even ask your tenants to leave.
Yeah, it's 6 months.
To the court and get an injunction from the court, or a tenant can vacate your premise. I think that should be a national policy, and the Senate President should begin to look along this line, and let's have conversation that borders on this, other than coming and talk about them.
Yes.
It's not bad for Tinubu to come back for second term. I'm not campaigning for him, by the way, but then there are more pressing issues to look at right now.
Exactly, and of course in the Pigeon Palace it says anywhere Bella face.
What is that?
I don't tell you, no. That's what is happening that people key into. Alright, now of course one of the conversations on the newspaper, that's the Daily Trust that picked my fancy here. It says shooting of immigration officer by Chinese, attack on Nigeria, says minister. I like the fact that Nigerians were stepping up and knowing that our lives matter when it comes to issues like this, that foreigners will not get away with when you mishandle us or you do things that are not right legally. It's not right. Well, why would a Chinese officer shoot a Nigerian immigration officer? That's something that is...
It's worrisome.
It's worrisome. Have we got what points? What the effrontery for me? Because Nigerians, especially when it comes to our security men and women, they do not carry out this sort of this sort of action on immigrants. Have you noticed? It's rare to find a Nigerian police officer or military personnel shooting a foreigner or something. It's rare. It's really rare. So for foreigners to come and think that you can get away with it, no. We are woke now. We've woken up and.
I just hope that this won't be just another paper talk.
No, it will not be.
Or audio
or swept under the carpet.
Because when things happen like this and we don't see a proactive action, it won't send the right signal.
It will not at all.
We hope to see that you can make the prosecution public, where you charge the Chinese or person responsible for you charge them and make it an open court, maybe an open procedure, an open what do you call it? open court setting.
Yes.
So other countries will know that you don't take Nigerians for granted.
Not just Nigerians, anyone at all lives matter. Because if it's a Chinese individual, they won't take it lightly. They would not take it lightly.
You won't shoot a Chinese immigration officer. You won't want to do that.
Exactly. But even if you do, let's say mistakenly, quote and unquote, you do, they would not take it lightly.
Of course, if you do, by now you would have been dancing a different...
The person, right?
Yeah, okay, sorry, the person would have been dancing a
different... Okay, all right, the next paper,
the next paper, which is the Punch newspaper. Let's get Punch this morning.
Okay.
All right, so just above the nameplate we have here, expert lament as crude shortage funds ground 7 refineries. You can find that read on page 25 of the Punch newspaper. And we have another story here, says 807 malignant cases, 74 deaths recorded in 22 states, NCDC. You can find that read on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. We have another story here that says Rivers Elders Group slams Ibas for sacking Fubara's appointee. You find that read on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And just beside this, there's the nameplate here. We have House under fire for reversing immunity withdrawal bill. House under fire. That's the House of Representatives, by the way. House under fire for reversing immunity withdrawal bill. You can find that read also on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Now we have the star story here. Says PDP orders Knox rep says bill on president and governors misplaced. All right, it comes with a rider here that says bill may bar Tinubu Atiku Obi from 2027 poll. CUPP SDP back candidates competence against aged-based bill. You can find all of those read here. Now, by the way, I missed this part where it says 60 years age limit. It says 60 years age limit. That was 60 years age limit. PDP Knox reps says bill on president governors misplaced. All right, you can find that read there. It's a big story on page 2. Like myself and Juma have been talking about all of this. When the Senate president, some of these things we need to look into them.
Very important.
We have a story here that says ill fatigue. NSCDC, FRSC deploy operatives in prayer grounds orders. Okay, that's to ensure that security, it boosts security in the country. You find that read on page 38 of the Punch newspaper. Tinubu marks 73rd birthday today, seeks spiritual guidance for Nigeria. That's on page 17. Then we have here which says Mahama briefs Tinubu on ECOWAS talks with Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. It'll return back to the table. We don't know yet. Then we have a story that says Daniel Abiodun trade words over password take over by FG. Parents tackle Ogun school over incisions on children's body. You can find that read on the Punch newspaper, and that's on page 4 and page 5 of the paper. LG, lastly here we have local government crisis. That's LG crisis. Osun APC PDP clash over meeting with AGF. You can find that read on page 35 of the Punch newspaper. Yeah, it's a punchy morning, so you can go out there and get yourself the Punch newspaper.
I like the fact you said it's a punchy morning, and then 2 stories caught my eyes here. In Victory, NSCDC, FRSC deploy operatives in prayer grounds and others, which is a good thing. And you can find that, like you said, on page 30. It's very important because sometimes, we want the prayers to go smooth, safe, and peaceful. There are some, not the Muslims, not our Muslim faith, but some individuals, miscreants, who want to cause issues, with the crowd. Some people are just triggered by crowd and not just to cause problems, but thank God the security agents will be the operatives will be there to calm any form of issues that want to arise. And I like the fact that Tinubu marks 73rd birthday today, seeks spiritual guidance for Nigeria. He has us at heart. So let's just see. So I pray that should be his birthday gift, that there should be peace, prosperity, and all the good things combined in Nigeria.
I'm saying right now from this from Global Morning, happy birthday to
Happy birthday to Mr. President from Global, right here from Global Morning.
I thought you would see
Global Television.
Global Television. I thought you would see the story that says PDP orders not correct.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to say that 60-year age limit. What's your take on that?
It's quite interesting.
It's quite interesting, really.
It's quite interesting.
But let's just how
it's quite interesting. So, what it implies is the likes of Atiku, the likes of Obi, and the likes of Tinubu.
Yeah,
will not be able to campaign and will be able to contest for the next election.
Exactly.
It's going to be an interesting run. So, but what are they thinking in the House of Reps?
I don't know.
I should think that we have other pressing issues.
Please don't put me on the spot, please.
I'm not bringing just my personal opinion on this, Juma. I should think at this point that we have pressing issues to deliberate on in this country. We have a lot of conversations that are begging for answers. We have a lot of things that we've not even scratched the surface on.
Exactly.
That we've not even had conversations around those areas. Now we're not talking about age limits. Age limit of all things in the country.
Of all things.
Right now.
I think we need our priorities. The House of Reps needs a priorities straightened when it comes to issues like this, because when we're going right, they seem to be going left. Like, I do not understand. There are a lot of things that are happening in this country. Like, look at the issue of transportation. Nigerians are telling you that they cannot go out to visit their loved ones in this time of festivity. And we're talking about 60-year-old limit. The election is going to happen in 2027. You might even say, oh, Juma, it's very close, this is 2025. But please, let's do what we have in front of us, don't you think? A lot of issues when it comes to unemployment, you'll be surprised. I met someone who's a university graduate, and she says the job in which she has now is below what she read in school, and I really feel that she has to do it because it's what she has at hand, and it can't really sustain her, but at least she goes out of the house every day. And that's the Nigeria in which we found ourselves. A lot of people are underpaid, even when they have a high qualification, high degree, they are underpaid. Why? Because there are no jobs. We have pressing issues like inflation when it comes to food. A lot of Nigerians are worried that is it because it's the fast, or I say the long period, that food in some parts of Nigeria has actually calmed down. But we're worried that immediately after the fast is over, which is the whole life, I was telling a friend of mine that, God, I wish you guys can continue to fast so that good times, and you're like, okay. And then, but at the same time, we have to understand that there are lots of pressing issues. A lot of people cannot afford to eat 3 square meals a day. A lot of households are going through a lot. A lot of families are homeless. A lot of children are out of school. They cannot afford to pay their fees because of the high cost of school fees, the high cost of living in Nigeria. There are lots of pressing issues. There are so many people who are becoming widows every day. A lot of people who their husbands are actually leaving their families because they cannot take care of their family. A lot of issues are happening. We have insecurity that's happening due to the fact that there is unemployment. A lot of our youths feel it's easier to go into things like, let me use the word, cyber crime, which is the fast lane. A lot of issues. So we need to find a way around this. Really, we have a lot. The House of Reps needs a lot. They have to come back to their thinking box and sit down and see the way forward. If there are 10 pressing issues and you find a solution to about 2, you have done a lot. At least you've made a step, because there are lots of things that are happening in this country, Nigeria. A lot of people are going through a lot. People are becoming suicidal on a daily.
Of all the things you've mentioned, of all, none has been considered. It's age limit. Juma, it's a sad one for Nigeria.
You're such an old man.
This could be one of the reasons why people even add more salt to their food.
Just an enlightenment, be serious. Just an enlightenment, that's why you add more salt to their food.
By the time you put it in your mouth, you reduce the intake of the food because people are starving.
People are starving, so you won't eat so much.
It's on the rise.
Really? Like I just mentioned, I'm telling you about some of our youths, vibrant male and some females have now joined the trend of cybercrime. You see what happens to drugs. People are willing to go on a dare Devil mission to put in drugs, to actually digest drugs, because they feel that's the fastest way out of poverty. The Jackpot syndrome, we're not even talking about people that jackpot on a daily. Let's not even go there. Our health practitioners, number of doctors, health practitioners who believe that jackpot is the only way forward. What is happening? What is happening really? And of all of these things that I've mentioned, we're talking about age limit of 6 years. Are you kidding me? Like really?
Well,
really?
I think going forward, probably what we'll do is, if you House of Red will begin to itemize what they should be considering.
I guess.
Give them a target. Then probably we need to start. Probably we send them to the house. We can start itemizing.
Yes, our scale of preference.
I think this is not just a misplaced priority, like PDP have said. I know other political parties will also come out to speak on this.
Yeah, a lot. Hopefully.
This will not see the light of day, hopefully. But
we have other pressing issues to talk about.
It's a welcome development, though there is a good side of the story, because we can have a country with
young persons, young minds, people that have different mindsets, and of course a lot of positive change that we'll see. But at the same time,
inside it, not too young to rule.
Just
enshrine it inside of it.
Exactly.
We've solved that problem under President Muhammadu Buhari when he was signing the not too young to run.
Yes, not too young to run bills.
All of those would
have been captured there, like instead of But at the same time, I'm a Nigerian. I love Nigeria. Let's be hopeful. Let's be positive. No, we don't. That's the thing. We
don't have a choice than to love Nigeria.
We don't have a choice than to love Nigeria, and believe, fingers crossed, that everything is going to be fine by the grace of God. And of course, I'm happy that at the same time, the Ramadan and the Lent are in the same month. So of course, God will answer our prayers.
Spiritual engagement.
Yes, spiritual engagement.
So reason not to be blessed in spirit.
Exactly. So all right, let's move to the next paper, and the next paper is The Guardian. And below the nameplate of The Guardian newspaper, it says, "I've not received recall notice from INEC," says Natasha. And you can find that read on page 3. MBS needs $15 million yearly to achieve data integrity, says World Bank. And that's the business user. You can find that read on page 16 of The Guardian. CISLAC says Rivers Soul Administrators' action threatens democracy. And you can find that read on page 3. Now the star story on The Guardian says Reps Mo return to parliamentary system, age limit for politicians. That we've talked about that on the Punch newspaper, and you can find that read on page 6. Now below all of that, of course, we see 2027, your second term, a done deal. Akpabio assures Tinubu despite discontents. And go and you can find that read on page 6. Southeast senators lobby Tinubu as Senate rejects motion to honor Wosu. You can find that read on page 5. And it says here, we're always align with Constitution on Sharia law, says Makinde. And you can find that read on page 7. Lagos has deficit of 30,000 doctors, nurses, other health professionals. And of course, that is Governor Sanwo-Olu there. And you can find that read on page 7. Atiku denies receiving funds from Sanwo-Olu during 2023 election. So basically, that's all the news making round on The Guardian newspaper. You have to just go out and get yourself a copy to stay well abreast with what is the happenings making round. And we've mentioned about the age limits on other newspapers. Akpabio talking about assuring Tinubu despite this content of 2027 second term, and talking about Southeast senators lobby Tinubu as Senate rejects motion to honor Wosu. What's your take on that?
Well, it's a very interesting one.
Very interesting.
Right now, my thought is, if we've honored President Abiola, the MKO Abiola, we've honored him, then the person that saw the electoral process through should also get some form of recognition.
Very true.
Because to a lot of Nigerians, and the argument has been that election was the freest election that we've ever seen in Nigeria. It was devoid of all form of violence, it was free.
Yes, it was.
Fair.
Yes, it was.
So if the person that conducted that election should be given some form of recognition, but then the Southeast are saying recognize him. Let's even put up a statue in recognition of his
a monument
for his contribution to national development.
Very true.
It's part of the success story of Nigerian democracy. Of course, he was able to set the template for which his predecessors built upon, likes of Atairu Jega.
Yes, of course, and now, of course.
So let's honor him. I think that's not something too big to ask.
No, it's not.
But we saw what transpired even in the Senate, where a lot of conversation they're trying to shove that conversation to one side. But we hope that they are able to appeal to the president to look into some of this. Like you read, they were said Southeast lawmakers, the senators, trying to lobby the president.
Very true.
The president is able to do. I know President Tinubu listens a lot.
No, he does. That's the good thing. He has a listening ear.
Look at what can be done in this regard.
Yeah, very important. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. All right, now that's all the news making round on the Vanguard, on the Guardian newspaper, and then of course Guardian will be running us through the last paper on the Global Morning Newspaper Review segment.
All right, so let's just look at this quickly. It's a very interesting read. We'll just quickly look at. We have the paper here called, and this is the Vanguard newspaper.
Yes, the Vanguard.
So the Vanguard newspaper here, just above the nameplate, we have 2025 Vanguard Economic Discourse Guidance Themes. Okay, so you can find that right there on page 19. We are here. Vanguard book serial, My Ordeal with the EFCC. You can find that read on page 15. Reps to probe 8 trillion naira revenue loss from tax waivers incentives. You can find that read on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. NNPCL assesses potential partners ahead of IPO. This is quite interesting. I would need to follow through on that story, but you can go out there and get yourself a copy to know what the IPO is going to be. How are they going to partner to run this IPO? But then we have a star story here just below the nameplate here, which says Rivers lawyers orders flays IBAS suspension of political appointees. It comes with quite a lot of riders. There, you need to go out and get yourself a copy. For want of time, we might not be able to go through all the riders here. Manager, 3 orders arrested as lodger dies in Delta Hotel. You can find that read on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. Reps rescind decision to strip VP governors of immunity less than 24 hours after. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, I think we're following suit. Donald Trump did the same thing, didn't he? We're following suit.
Well, that's not
we're following Donald Trump. I set the pace. We're following suit.
Southeast Caucus faults Senate's rejection of immortalizing Nwosu. That we also saw that read on the Guardian newspaper prior to this time. Because the writer says he's a hero of democracy. Walk out of the chamber. They staged a walkout in this chamber. You can go out there to find out what the Vanguard has. Then we have a story here that says late ex-Oyo governor's Ajumobi's first daughter dies at 42. Condolences to the family. All right. Bill to stop politicians above 60 from contesting presidential governorship polls scales second reading in reps. Or I'll see how that plays out. You can find that read on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. We have here in sports. World Cup qualifier. It's not over yet, but together tax now. Osimhen. All right, you want to find out what Osimhen has to say, what he's saying about the World Cup qualifier chances right now. You can go out and get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper. Of course, there's an animated image here. You can go out. That's one thing that makes Vanguard newspaper to be very outstanding. They always give you this animated feature. You can go out there and get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper, of course, to stay informed of what's going on in the country. But for want of time, we would have been able to talk about a lot of stories here that are really catching my attention. But then time is fast spent.
Yes, it is.
We need to switch to AM news at the moment. But you can go out there and get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper to know what's going on around the country.
And about this time, we're wrapping up the newspaper review segment, just like what Godwin just mentioned now. And the AM News is up next. Stick around. Do not go anywhere. It's Global Morning. Stay tuned. That global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News and Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. Now, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. Now the news info. In a bid to reduce excessive salt consumption and curb hypertension and cardiovascular diseases, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare has launched a national guideline for sodium reduction. Our health correspondent, Queen Agaba, has details.
The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare has taken a significant step towards promoting public health with the launch of the National Guideline for Sodium Reduction. The guideline sets mandatory sodium limits in processed foods and promotes public education campaigns to raise awareness about the risks associated with excessive sodium consumption. The Honorable Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako, unveiled the guideline, emphasizing its significance in addressing the rising burden of non-communicable diseases in Nigeria, while urging the food industry to embrace reformulation and reduce sodium content in processed and packaged foods.
Today also marks another significant milestone as we not only launch the sodium reduction guideline, but also unveil the national guideline for food handlers' medical tests. This guideline is a critical step in ensuring the health and safety of food supply chain by unifying and ensuring regular medical examinations are conducted for food handlers. Together, these guidelines form a cohesive framework that directly supports the implementation of the National Policy on Food Safety and Quality and its Implementation Plan 2023.
Emphasizing Nigeria's commitment to reducing non-communicable diseases associated with excessive sodium intake, DG NAFDAC Professor Mojisola Adeyeye says the World Health Organization recommends reducing sodium intake to less than 5 grams of salt or 2 grams of sodium per day.
The World Health Organization has consistently emphasized the need for sodium reduction as a cost-effective strategy for improving public health outcomes. In line with this, the federal government of Nigeria, through the collaborative effort of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, NAFDAC, and other MDAs and stakeholders have developed this national guideline as a strategic framework to guide policy implementation, industry reformulation, and public awareness on sodium intake reduction.
Commending the initiative, the Executive Director, CAPA, Akimbode Oluwafemi, says the launch marks another major milestone in safeguarding public health in Nigeria.
Public health through the promotion of healthy diet. And we strongly believe that the effective implementation of the national guideline on sodium reduction in Nigeria will help in no small measure in reducing excessive sodium intake among the populace and thereby reduce cases of cardiovascular diseases and non-communicable diseases in Nigeria.
The launch of the guideline is expected to have a positive impact on the health and well-being of Nigerians and to contribute to the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
As Muslims all over the world prepares for this year's Eid celebrations, many Nigeria facing doubting challenges worsened by high cost of transportation. From Kano, Global TV correspondent Idris Jubil takes a look at how people are struggling to visit their loved ones. The report.
Usually marked by communal prayers and family gatherings, this religious festival is now threatened by the reality of financial difficulties for many families across the country. Ibrahim Ahmad is a factory worker in Kano, traveling to Maiduguri to spend Salah with his family at the cost of 25,000 naira. He and other travelers had to cut down their spendings to to cover the cost of transportation.
You see, we have to thank God for seeing the beginning and the end of this Ramadan. But things are very tough. You can see I'm traveling to Maiduguri, but the transportation is highly disturbing. But we have no choice. We have to reduce our spendings.
Removal of petroleum subsidy by the government has continued to increase transportation costs at an alarming rate.
Now, you see, before now, travelers will be coming here queuing for a seat. But today, they don't come. And instead of coming to travel, most people prepare to come here and send message to their loved ones, because the transportation is so high that so many people cannot afford to travel to their respective destination to celebrate Salah with their families.
Commuters say the economic challenges faced by many Muslims during this important period are numerous. But the high cost of transportation fee is particularly disturbing.
The transportation, this thing for Nigeria, the transportation is too much. They're supposed to reduce the transportation for us because something hurts now. Some they want to travel, but they don't get the money. That's why. Even us now, we want to travel, we don't get the money.
By implications, many individuals in Kano are now forced to decide between celebrating the Eid with their loved ones and meeting their basic needs. From Kano, Idris Jubrin reporting for Global Television News.
Former President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, has donated 27,300,000 bags of rice to the victims of the fire outbreak in the 3 local government areas of Yobe State. Lawan, who noted that the unfortunate incident have caused significant losses and hardship, and that his thoughts and prayers are with those impacted during this difficult time. According to him, the assistance is aimed at complementing effort by the Yobe State government to provide immediate relief to the affected families and help them recover from the devastating impact of the fire outbreaks. Over now to President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of new members of the Governing Council of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB. The appointment was disclosed by Tinubu's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. Ononuga says Tinubu, in his effort to reinforce the NCDMB's capacity to grow local content in the oil and gas sector, approved the appointment of 4 members of the board. The Nigerian Senate has passed a bill mandating the compulsory registration of citizens, aiming to overhaul Nigeria's identity management system through the repeal and reenactment of the National Identity Management Commission Act. The passage followed the submission and consideration of a report by the Committee on National Identity Card and Population, chaired by Senator Victor Ume, representing Anambra Central. Kike Lomo Okere has the report.
Senator representing Anambra Central, Senator Victor Ume, explained that the legislation seeks to establish a harmonized, cost-effective identity system that aligns with global best practices, enhancing data accuracy and closes existing gap in Nigeria's identity database.
Strengthen the legal framework of national and digital identity, thereby creating an optimal foundational identification ecosystem that fosters inclusion, universal coverage, and accessibility. Establish a harmonious foundational identity system that is governed by a less restrictive, less cumbersome, non-discriminatory, non-punitive data protection, cost-effective, and compliance with global best practices.
That this bill will ensure that we have proper record and proper data to plan not just for the current generation, but for future generations of Nigerians. Thank you.
Once signed into law, the bill also provides for the creation of centralized database and a commission responsible for registering citizens and issuing identity cards. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
The Nigerian Senate delayed a motion to immortalize the late Professor Humphrey Owusu, former NEC chairman, on procedural grounds during its March 26, 2025 session.
The motion sponsored by Iyinaya Abaribe, Senator representing Abia South, sought to recognize Owusu for overseeing the June 12, 1993 presidential election, widely regarded as one of Nigerians' fairest polls. Ramsey Enoch Agbo tells us more.
The senator representing Abia South, Iyinaya Abaribe, rose under Order 41 and 51, which border on personal explanation to draw the attention of the chamber to the need to immortalize the late INEC boss.
That the courageous defense of democratic electoral process during the 1993 presidential election led to the famous June 12 slogan, which ultimately confirmed Alhaji MKO Abiola as the winner. It's okay.
The development was contrary to the provision of the Senate Standing Order, as the Senate's leader, Senator Bamidele Opeyemi, contended that the order raised by Abaribe was inappropriate and that the plenary had gone beyond the privilege Abaribe would have enjoyed to make senators consider it.
If the Senate are taking a position on a matter, if you still want to insist on bringing it back, you have to come by way of substantive motion. But the next legislative day at whatever time, by way of substantive motion for rescission of decision.
Earlier, the deputy president of the Senate declared the point of order as controversial and expressed skepticism of its approval by allowing Abaribe to speak to the order.
I'll walk in line with whatever you decide. Of course, it's a bit controversial. Some see him as someone who truncated June 12. Some see him as a hero of June 12. So it's up to you. We'll put the question. Those in favor that this motion should go through, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The nays have it.
Reacting to the Senate leader's submission, Senator representing KB North, Yahaya Abdullahi, insisted that Abaribe should be allowed to speak on the matter despite not getting the order correct. Abaribe insisted that the motion to immortalize the late Nwosu wasn't a controversial one as posited by the deputy president of the Senate.
If the Senate leader says that it doesn't follow, by the fact that a senator wants to make a personal explanation, you must give that senator a chance to make that personal explanation. We are not under a dictatorship, Mr. President. That is why I'm using 1B to come.
The deputy president of the Senate, however, advised Abaribe to reintroduce the motion at the next legislative session. Jibrin upheld Bamidele's position and ruled that the Senate should proceed with its agenda.
Against tomorrow, bring it to the rules and business, and then we'll look at it again. Your point of order is upheld.
Beyond the Senate motion, groups like the Coalition for Immortalization of Professor Humphrey Nwosu, former INEC chairman Professor Atahiru Jega, and current INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu have urged national honors, that is GCON, CFR, and renaming INEC's headquarters after him. Ramsey Enoch reporting for Global Television News.
The Nigerian Senate has mandated the Senate Committee on Communications to investigate the recent increase in the cost of data and recommend solutions for more sustainable and business-friendly telecommunications sector. The Red Chamber also asked the ministry to develop a policy framework for affordable internet services in Nigeria. Samuel Udi has the details.
Those are part of the resolution after a debate on the bill sponsored by Senator Asukwon Ekpeyong, which highlights the financial strain the price hike has placed on millions of Nigerians, particularly young people who rely on affordable internet access for their livelihoods. Senator Ekpeyong had in his motion kicked against the recent increase in the cost of data and other services by telecommunication operators, calling for an urgent review.
The Senate is further concerned that the reasons provided by telecom providers for the data price hike include high operational costs, unfavorable exchange rates, are untenable, and appears that instead of addressing the root causes
of the high cost of doing business in Nigeria, the burden is being unfairly transferred to end users.
Senators anonymously endorsed the motion at the section which was presided over by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio.
When you are suffering on the cost of telecommunication services, you are suffering on the high cost of electricity, you are suffering on the high cost of digital television services. The costs are quite high on Nigerians.
President, my distinguished colleagues, much as the high cost of data affects everyone in this country, including my humble self, but I'm particularly interested in this because of the manner it affects the young men who are in larger population in this country, who are the most productive sector. They rely on data to acquire, resources that we are not able to provide for them. We can't give them jobs.
Motion, when implemented, will assist particularly our young entrepreneurs, not only to remain in business, but to ensure that they have affordable pricing that will also generate revenue and profits for them. So I thank you for bringing this motion. I thank my colleagues for their contributions and for the amendments done to the prayers. I thank you. So congratulations for this.
The Senate, however, asked Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to engage with telecommunication providers to review data costs and ensure that pricing remains fair and affordable for all Nigerians. Samuel Odi, reporting for Global Television News.
The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, has stressed that a harmonious relationship between state government and mining operators is crucial not only for attracting investment but also for advancing the nation's mining sector. Now, the minister made this known during a mediation parley with Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke and representatives from Segilola Resources Operating Limited (SROL) at his office in Abuja. Sharon Ajay has the details.
The Minister of Solid Mineral Development, Dr. Dele Alake, emphasized that solid minerals play a central role in the federal government's economic diversification agenda. He noted that efforts in this regard would be jeopardized in a sector riddled with conflicting policies and strained relations between operators and state governments. The minister therefore urged an amicable resolution of the disputes between Osun State and Segilola Resources Operating Limited, highlighting that the state stands to benefit from an environment that promotes industrial harmony and eases the business climate, noting that such conditions will lead to increased revenue and attract foreign direct investment.
There is a multiplicity of authorities in an environment, in a society. It discourages foreign investors. Because if I have my capital, I want to come to your place. Of course. I want your rules and regulations to be streamlined. Yeah. Not that today the governor will issue one, tomorrow the local government will issue a counter, another time a ward government or whatever. Yeah. So, yes. It discourages a potential investor that which one will I obey, which one will I infringe on, and all of that. Yes. And nobody wants to waste capital in this day and age. Yes. So once they see those negative indicators, they move their capital elsewhere.
Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke expressed the state's commitment to improving the ease of doing business while ensuring that ethical standards are upheld. He reiterated the state government's readiness to reach a compromise with the company to ensure smooth mining operations in Osun.
I must, through your commend Mr. President, for ongoing reform of the nation's mining sector. We took hints from the presidential reform initiatives in the mining sector to launch our own reforms at the state level. I am, however, happy that the intervention of the ministry has produced positive results. We are elated as a government that is committed to ease of doing business
After deliberations and the minister's mediation, both parties pledged to continue discussions to resolve any outstanding issues. The resolution culminated in the presentation of the state shareholding certificate to Governor Adeleke by Sejilola Resources Limited. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
The Benue State Executive Council has given its approval for demystification of counter-trafficking in persons law to persecute perpetrators of the crime. The forms part of the decision reached at the 5th edition of the council meeting. Felicity Indere reports.
At the briefing of newsmen after the Executive Council meeting, Commissioner for Information, Culture and Tourism Matthew Abu explained that Benue State has continued to record high incidence of human trafficking and related crimes, thereby promoting the decision of the Council to domesticate legal system, making it an enforceable law in Benue to reverse the ugly trend.
And when this law is finally taken to the House of Assembly for approval, and when the Assembly gives its final approval, then the offenders of this law will now be asked to face the wrath of the law.
Another decision by the Council is the approval for the recapitalization of the Benue Investment and Property Company to increase its capital base for optimal and effective operation to boost the state economy. He further explained that the amount will be dashed to the company in 4 tranches.
The ESCO also applauded the initiative of Galaxy Backbone, and so the state is willing to partner with Galaxy Backbone in times of ICT.
Abu also detailed reports on the security situations in Boruku, Ohimne, Ukum, Sankara and Kwandi, and also the kidnapped victim along the Lafia Makudu Road who was later released. The council has also sent a delegation led by the Deputy Governor Sam Odi for the flag off of the Buruku Boku Amaladu Water Works by the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation. In Makudi, Felicity Ndere, Global TV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of AM News. When AM News returns, Finance Minister, EU Ambassador discuss 1.3 billion euros investments, economic reforms in Nigeria. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is AM News on Global Television. On the foreign scene now, the United States have condemned the killing of Cameroonian soldiers serving in the multinational joint task force in Nigeria's Lake Chad Basin. In a statement by the U.S. ambassador in Yaoundé, expressed condolences to Cameroon, describing the attack as a heinous act of terrorism. Hamas says an Israeli airstrike killed one of its official spokesmen in Gaza, the latest high-ranking operative targeted since Israel resumed its bombardment. The group, in a statement, mourned the loss of Abdul Latif, who was killed in what it called a direct strike on a tent he was in the Jabala area of northern Gaza. The fragile ceasefire that brought weeks of relative calm to Gaza ended on March 18th, with Israel resuming its bombing campaign across the territory. And in sports, the Nigerian Women Football League champions Edo Queens defeated hosts Abia Angels 2-1 at the Umahia Township Stadium. Edo Queens winger Osigwe Goodness scored the opening goal in the 35 minutes through a penalty kick. The host team came back stronger into the game, but the defending champions banked on experience to ward off the Angels' attack. Still on sports, Nigeria's Flying Eagles have been thrown into uncertainty after shocking withdrawal of the Ivory Coast as host of the 2025 Under-20 African Cup of Nations just 30 days before the tournament schedule kickoff. Decision announced by the Ivorian Football Federation has sent shockwaves through African football, leaving the Confederation of African Football scrambling to find an alternative venue for the Continental Showcase. Ivory Coast, which was only confirmed as host in December 2024, had secured its place in the tournament after initially. As we end the AM news, let's take a quick look at our top stories again. Rotary Nigerian Senate has passed a bill mandating the compulsory registration of citizens aiming to overhaul Nigerians' identity management system through the repeal and reenactment of National Identity Management Commission Act. And on the news, Hamas. On the foreign scene, we said that Hamas says an Israeli airstrike killed one of its official spokesmen in Gaza, the latest high-ranking operative targeted since Israel resumed its bombardment. And finally, in sports, we brought to you the Nigerians Flying Eagles have been thrown into uncertainty after Coast is host of the 2025 Under-20 Africa Cup of yet 30 days before the tournament schedule kick-off. And that's it on Global TV AM News. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms I'm showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of podcast. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good morning.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Know that you cannot talk about a healthy nation if you don't have means to produce your own in addition to importing.
The CG is the principal actor of this because it's within her jurisdiction. Minister is a supervisor.
We must run in accordance with the Constitution of CAN, where you have just a single time.
The human factor, you have the infrastructural factor, then you have the mechanical factors.
The Senate, with all due respect, they were so hasty in passing that judgment.
The statement I'm about to make is we're not even aware.
That is the future.
You have to be aware before you can begin to be prepared.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back to Global Morning on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. And joining me to talk about a pressing issue right now, which is on tanker explosions in Nigeria, is the chairman of RAPNEC, which stands for Road Accidents and Prevention Network, the person of Mr. Prince Ache Ogu. You're welcome to Global Morning.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here again.
All right. So let's even, before we delve into the conversation of accidents and prevention and some of the causes of road accident that we've seen so far, we'll take a look at a report by our correspondent. Then we'll take the conversation from there. Please stay with us.
The CNG-powered truck explosion came as a shock to many who were affected, as well as those living around the Karo-Nyanya axis, a suburb in the Federal Capital Territory. The CNG exploded about 5 times, destroying and damaging cars around its path, as well as killing a number of persons and injuring others. Witnesses have recounted their sad ordeal.
I closed from work, I was coming back. All I saw behind me was a flaming truck coming close to me. But by God's grace, I was able to swap. But this statement, I was back. We were able to all disengage from the vehicle. Unfortunately, I was busting my drive miserably. One is seriously. At that point, I couldn't help it any longer. I left. For me to come back now, what I'm saying is this happens.
If I was in between the two trucks, I don't know how I managed, I was able to smuggle myself out of the vehicle. I took a run, and after running, I left the car there. After running to the pavement at the center of the road, I saw that my back was already free because the truck had already flown away. All the vehicles that were before me, were behind me. So I saw an opportunity to see if my car could still move. I jumped in because it was still on steaming. I jumped in again and put the car on reverse. Immediately I reversed for a few meters. I hit the pavement to cross to the other side of the road. Then people rushed. People that were standing by rushed, pushed the car off the road to the other side. That is how I was able to get the scrap of the vehicle.
Grateful for not being at his workstation during the time of the explosion, Chris stated the possibility of being involved as many of his colleagues died from the incident.
This is exactly the point where I work. This is my terrain. This is where I work. And when this thing happened yesterday, was at the peak of our work.
The FRSC office stationed close to the explosion location immediately attended to those affected and recounting taking about 8 people burnt beyond recognition to the mortuary, while about 25 injured persons were taken to the hospital.
About 25 people were injured. And others might have even been taken by relatives and friends, so we cannot ascertain the exact number of people, but the ones we attended to were like 25.
It is truly a devastating incident, as eyewitnesses have recounted their experiences during and after the explosion. So far, at least 8 persons have been confirmed dead, while several others remain hospitalized. Authorities and medical personnel are working tirelessly to ensure full recovery of those injured. Sharon Ajay.
All right, welcome back. So let's delve into the conversation right now by first looking at the various road accidents that we've had so far in the country, and by extension the most recent accident that we had in the Federal Capital Territory along the Karo Express, which you saw a CNG explosion like you've watched in the report. But then let me bring the conversation back to you, Mr. Chair Prince Ogu. What do you make? How will you react to some of these explosions that we've seen in the country?
It's a new scenario in the country because it's a new technology. The CNG is a new technology that was introduced by this administration to caution the effect of the subsidy removal, to see that people can get affordable means of transportation moving from one place to the other. But enough sensitization was not made on the risk factors that has to do with CNG. You cannot introduce a technology in a country without developing some safety and emergency measures that will enable the public or the masses to know what to do when such event occurs. we cannot run away from the fact gas is synonymous or related with explosion. Even in the homes, all of us use gases to cook now. So you should know that if you are riding on gas on the highway or you are using gas to power your vehicle, the consequences or the issue of explosion should be at the back of your mind because it's highly inflammable. I think even more than the petrol. Yeah, even more than the petrol. So the recent explosion at the Nyanya Karu Road cannot be swept under the carpet. Although we are aware the government has set up a committee to investigate. How soon are we going to get a report from that committee? And what are the factors put in place to prevent future occurrences? Those are the things we, have at the back of our mind as organizations operating under the canopy of non-governmental organizations in Nigeria.
That's a very interesting one. So let's look at the various policies being put in place to ensure that we don't have these occurrences on our roads. You are within the corridor of prevention of road accidents. I think that's what your organization stands for.
Exactly.
All right, so let's look at this. What are the root causes or basic root causes of road accidents even in Nigeria? Because as a lot of people will be traveling back to their communities, back to their villages to go and celebrate the Eid al-Fitr with their families. What are the root causes of road accidents?
We've been dwelling on this issue for so long. You are aware that if you continue to do the same thing, you get the same result until you look or think outside the box. Now, basically, we'll be talking about some factors that have to do with the road, the driver, and the vehicle. Those are the things we've been looking at all this while. But we need to take it a little bit further from the vehicle, the road, and the driver to emotional factors. What are the emotional factors? Emotional factors has to do with economic factors. For example, somebody goes and buys a fuel for 800 naira per liter or 1,000 naira per liter. And then the money they gave him from his company to fill the vehicle to his destination is not even enough. Talk less of taking care of his family at home. These are commercial factors now. We are not talking about the private factors. Now, emotionally, he will be bedeviled with that thought on how to cope with that journey while holding the steering. This will bring in distractions. This will bring in other manners of things you never thought of. And before you know it, you run into a vehicle. He's thinking of what to send to the wife at home because you cannot go out. You have children in school.
Without coming back with something.
Yeah. So emotionally, he's been deviled and trapped in that euphoria of trying to cope with the economic factors. Eventually, emotionally, he's trapped down. You see people coming out of their estate every day now running into other vehicles on the highway. It doesn't mean they don't know how to drive. Those are emotional factors.
So you're saying that what the most prominent cause of road accident right now is an emotional factor?
Yes, emotional factors and drug issues. We will move further as we discuss.
Okay.
Emotional and drug issues. Why do I say? Now every country has its own issue. Nigeria is different from Ghana. Ghana is different from Liberia. Liberia is different from South Africa. In our own context as a country, right now, we need to deal with emotional factors, apart from infrastructural issues that has to do with the road, the railways, the facilities that are designed to ensure a free flow of traffic across the country. The president tried by setting up a team to look into what happened in Nyanya recently. But we are not hearing again from the committee. This committee is supposed to be a public committee that talks to the public. For example, we drive the coalition of road safety NGOs in Nigeria. We have close to 500 NGOs on our database that we can present at any point in time, and they can be available for discussion on national issues under the coalition. It's not about somebody saying story or politicizing everything. It's about life and death. Directly or indirectly, we are all involved. If you are a senator today and you feel you have convoy, you don't have issues with the road, your extended family members, in short, your supporters, your loved ones are there, and you'll be spending money on grief, burial ceremonies, and other activities which are preventable. You understand me? So there are so many areas, depending on where you want us to move in. We are prepared here to handle this issue within the available limits of time you give to us.
All right, so let's take the conversation further. You talk about emotional issues, emotional factor as one of the large source of a road accidents on our Nigerian roads. But then, in order to talk more on emotional factors, are there concerns by the government and policies in this regard to be able to comb emotionality and some form of emotions even on a road, apart from when you want to do your drive, you want to learn how to drive? Are there policies in place?
We are not aware of any policy in place by the government, because these are new scenarios. Why do you call them new scenarios? They are involving problems. You know, there is no world or no society that doesn't have issues. Every day you wake up with different problems. Then you build solutions to solve those problems. You don't just relax and say that it's all over. You know,
I should think that prior to this time we've had a lot of conversations around people who are driving into the road, people leaving their estate, driving into the major road and crashing into other people's vehicles. Exactly. We've seen this conversation has been on for more than 10 years.
Oh, yes.
And when you say it's new, it makes it look like it's a total...
No, when I say it's new, I'm talking about the emotional factors.
Okay.
The issue of road accident cannot be new. Road crashes prevention has been there. It's a global problem that the world is contending with. In short, recently the world gathered in Marrakech, Morocco, for the first time Africa hosted the Conference of Ministers. Our president of the president of the Court of Appeal in Nigeria here, Mrs. Durban, was there, which moved with more than 10 delegates. The commercial FRSC was there. The Federal Ministry of Transport station in Nigeria led the team to that conference. So road accident is a global issue that Nigeria is signatory and fully participating. But what we are talking about here is that the domestication and implementation of those policies, are they to our advantage? At the global level, we are with them. Are we domesticating it locally? These are the questions that we need to look, these are the issues we need to look into. Because at times you need to ask yourself, when Nigeria was in this crisis, what role did I play? If your son asks you tomorrow, Nigeria now is facing so people are dying, people are violating traffic rules because they teach them in school, they have road safety clubs and all that, and you carry your son or your daughter in a vehicle, you're not putting seat belt. Your daughter is the one to tell you to, please daddy, put your seat belt, because she belongs to a road safety club in her school. Now her future is protected. You now, as the father, you are not putting seat belt. Are you conforming with the principle? So these are the gaps that need to be filled. A lot of gaps need to be filled, and there are so much factors that can be related or equated to this emotional, factor. I'm opening up a new chapter, and it's going to form a national conversation. I know what I'm talking about. What we deal with here, even with the lead agency, is drunk driving, put on your seatbelt, over speeding, and all those kind of things. But in between, something instigates somebody to misbehave on the road, and that is traceable to what? Economic and emotional factor.
That's it. It sounds. Well, I'm concerned because it sounds very strange, because we've never heard we've never had conversations where people talk about emotional factors as one of the factors responsible for road accidents in Nigeria. But looking at a lot of accidents again from another perspective, we understand also we have a lot of underage drivers, especially when it has to do with truck driving in Nigeria. Could this also be a factor that is also causing a very large accident in the country?
Factor.
Okay.
I appreciate you for identifying that area. Most especially, most of them are from the north. And somebody was telling me, he said because they are brave, that is why you see them driving most of the trucks, Dangote trucks. If you check their drivers, 80% of them are less than 30 years. Go and carry out the data and get back to us, or open it to a public debate.
We'll look into that. Please go ahead.
Now, why is this so? The issue of joblessness and young men out of school drive them into this profession. And some of them feel they are brave and they have the mind to curtail and maybe if you hold this there, because before you drive a truck, you must have a different mind, not this mind that me and you is carrying.
Oh, so you have a different mind to drive a truck?
Yeah, you have a different mind to drive a truck because you don't. It's not something that you can swap like a small car. You need to sometimes pump the brake severally for it to stand. It doesn't stand still like normal car. So you should be prepared to move across vehicles when you're out of the lane or anything happens or your brake fails. Maybe you take like 10 or 20 cars. You match them on before you stop. So these are the issues we're talking about. So then if you take it down memory lane, there's need for these vehicles to have their own lane if our railways are not working. Like what they did in Lagos. They have BRT lanes for buses. I think they've succeeded there somehow. So the Calabar, what do they call it now? This one they are doing now from Lagos to Calabar.
Yeah.
Is it
Lagos Calabar? What do they call it? Coastal Highway.
They should be able to map out specifically some road for truck drivers. This road belongs to trucks. No small vehicles enters here. If our railways are, even if the railways are working, because those in the business of moving trucks and goods by the road cannot go out of business overnight because you have built your railway, they'll find against it. And that's one of the reasons that railways are not working. You understand? So those new infrastructures that have been put in place by the Tinubu administration, our president now, should be able to conform with global standard. What do you call them now? IRAP, International Road Assessment, called 3-star road. We don't have one in Nigeria. Take it anywhere. Nigeria don't have any 3-star road. We can have hotels that are 3 or 5 stars. But when it comes to roads, we don't have 3-star road. What is a 3-star road? A 3-star road is not a road that is too fully polished. It's a road that conforms with the relevant standard, global standard. Somebody who is trekking will not be disturbed. A pedestrian will not be disturbed. Everything is in place, in line with global standard. That's what they call 3-star road.
I thought we have something like that in Lagos.
I doubt. No, Lagos is coming up. But as far as I'm concerned, under the Global Alliance, Global Alliance of Road Safety. Global Alliance of Road Safety is an arm of the United Nations that houses non-governmental organizations, and there are about 350 NGOs there. As I'm talking to you, over 350 NGOs. Road Accident Prevention Network Center, which I pilot, is a member. We have about 5 or 7 members of the Global Alliance from Nigeria, of NGOs. Now, International Road Assessment Program, IRAP, this FIA and some other organizations, global organizations, powers the Global Alliance that empowers the NGOs that operate under the umbrellas globally. And one of the people that powers these organizations, what do you call them now, is the International Road Assessment Programs, IRAP, that has the capacity and the fund in billions of dollars to transform roads across the world to 3-star road. That's their mandate. They are not asking you to use your money. But because of the way we do things in this country, the way things work in this country, they sideline those with the ideas, they sideline those with the initiative where they hear money. And then the next thing is conflict of interest. Everybody is going for the money. The Ministry of Work is going, the Ministry of Transport is going, Road Safety is going, every other person, government agencies are going. Forgetting the non-governmental organizations that have the mandate, original mandate by the United Nations, and the global forces that drive road safety issues, who are supposed to mediate and discuss, at the same time facilitate and confirm these funds for our country. If you go to places like Tanzania, Kenya, what do you call them, Zambia, and other countries of the world, they don't have this problem. Their data are accurate, they are not politicized. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So they have maximum attention and funding to their problems. Why? Because they involve the critical stakeholders and non-governmental organizations like us in their policies. We can't go kneeling down for the government and say, "Look, we have a solution to this and that." You understand me?
All right.
But bureaucracies and policies of government in this country are things that we need to, look into. Every day we are busy talking about political situations. This one has happened in River State. Natasha has done this. This one has done that. People are dying on the road. Is it not time for us to look into all these circumstances and give attention to road crashes in our country?
Well, we'll come back to this conversation again, but you did mention of the fact that underage truck drivers are brief. You want to elaborate on that?
Okay, yes. You see how many on that point?
Yeah, so let's get
now
to
we have enforcement agencies. The Federal Road Safety Corps has applied for them to use arms. Do you know why I'm in support of that? I'm in support of that because most of the truck drivers are driving under the influence of drug and alcohol, and they can violate and intimidate anybody on the street. Why? Because they are operating not with their normal mind. They're operating with an extra fictitious, brave, corrupt, and indisciplined mind, empowered by the drug they take, like marijuana, cocaine, tramadol, and the rest of them. So organizations operating within the drug prevention corridor has a lot of role to play in this issue, in this scenario.
So
for example, now the Federal Road Safety Corps, FROSC, have the mandate to protect, save lives on our highways. What measures or what can they use to stop a truck coming on the highway heavily drunk or highly intoxicated with all manner of drugs? With the steady, other vehicles are giving chance. A young man in his prime who has not even passed through the normal training because they say he's brave, and before you drive a vehicle in Nigeria, one of the criteria is that you must have the mind to hold the steering. Regardless of who is coming, you are on the truck, you are higher. Your risk of dying is 1%.
Can you say that again, please?
Your risk of dying, if you drive a truck, is at 1%. I'm the one telling you now. Even at explosion, because they know, before they know, they don't jump out. That's the one they learn. All truck drivers in Nigeria are very aware of that. When their brake fails, one of their leg is outside, even if they are crushing other vehicles. That's why you don't see them dying.
We likely will see, at the scene of the incident, you don't even see them again.
You don't see them. They escape into the forest. They are said before it happens, they are already in the forest.
They go for a special training for that?
No, you see, you protect your life if you are in any business. I'm not supporting them for that. You protect your life. If the vehicle is not in order and other facilities are not in order, then those guys driving they are always smart at that. You can never see a truck driver dying, whether you say 30, the one that happened at Nyanya, the driver, they did that. The recent one now that we are talking about in Nyanya, Abuja here, the guy escaped, all of them in the vehicle. Why? When they are brake failed, they know that they are out of control already. What they do is to maneuver and see when the vehicle is going to stop. And eventually that one went and hit, whether it's a CNG truck or is the one that feel that it's carrying CNG facility or tank, and then there was explosion. And over 30 vehicles went aflame. People burned to ashes. Look at everybody complaining at the scene. You just show it here now. Nigerians are helpless. They are completely helpless.
People will be traveling back to their homes this period.
During the Salah period.
Yes, a lot of people will be traveling back. Looking at the state of the Nigerian roads right now, is it advisable for one to travel this period?
There's no way it's written that during festive period you must travel. In the Bible and Quran, is there any way it's written?
It's time to be with your family. It's a time to want to marry, and also sometimes it's a time to bond.
Let me tell you this.
It's a time to
the mentality that we need to kill. We need to kill some level of mentality. Now, this period, the road is going to be extremely busy. More people are going to be on the road. Somebody who buys a new car want to go and show in the community that he has bought a new car, his level has changed. They want to go and tell the people in the community and his friends that he has arrived. And probably those ones are there waiting for him, putting into condition the economy of the country to come and make sure they enjoy and take care of them, buy drinks, buy food, make them happy. On the other hand, other people are there with envy. Let us see how it's going to come here. That's where spiritual factors and other things comes in. So it's not written anywhere that you must come. Is there anything wrong if you are preaching and you have to pay for, or anywhere part of the country, to pay for your people to come and visit you in the city? Is there anything wrong with that? So the level of traffic is going to increase tremendously in the next few days. And then put into consideration the facilities we have, the nature of our roads. There's going to be some high rate of accidents and deaths, avoidable deaths. Some people are alive now, very sorry, you know. It's not a prophecy or a prayer.
No, that's what I wanted to ask. If it's coming from, if you're a road prophet at this point.
It's not a prophecy or a prayer. But the last time we were here, I told you something. That this explosion will not stop until the right thing is done to stop it. Is it not still happening? Okay. That is not a prophecy. Now, based on, you might see it as a prophecy anyway, because I'm a man of God. I have a ministry.
All right.
So now, if you look at the trends and the level, a country of 230 million people approximately, are you getting me now? With our road network and the bad infrastructure and the level of people that is going to be on the road between now and Wednesday is going to be traumatic. FRC is trying their best to make sure maybe people obey traffic rules where there's congestion, but on the highway you cannot stop speed. You just bought a car because it's a Jeep or it's a brand new car that you can automatic, your family is there and you are pressing it as a young man. You are flying. No, now try your best to calm down and see how you can arrive safely. So there are a lot of issues. I don't even know where we are going to handle, from young teenage drivers of trucks to people trying to travel during the festive season, and drunk driving, so and other factors. So emotional factors. You see, we mentioned a whole lot of things. So we can be here for hours.
So invariably, you are saying at this point that, if I understand you from what you've been saying, are you saying that people should not travel this period? That's one. Two, the roads, you've said the roads are not going to, the roads going to be safe. That's secondly. Then thirdly, should people rather go by air or still maintain the road? Because people need to be with their family.
See, that is a no-go area. Going by air based on the cost. Or if you go to the airport and there's no space. But even if you go by air and drive, you must send a vehicle to your house. You don't fly to your house.
Okay.
You must send a vehicle to your house. Now, we are not saying people should not travel, but they should minimize the level of trip during festive season. Now, talking about the infrastructure, the roads are bad. We know government is trying their best. You know, they are still trying their best to see how they can put the roads in order and all that, but it's not good enough. You understand? So now, talking about the solution, we'll be talking about problem.
We still talk more problems, because if we don't talk problems, we might not be able to arrive. We might not be able to arrive at.
I don't want to be we will come back
to, we'll talk about the solutions, but the problems.
We want to see solutions, because everybody is watching. This is a global institution. It's a global media institution. I'll be hammering on the problem. People will be waiting to hear the solution.
No, we'll come back to the solution, because the reason why we are even talking about the problems first is we've had a lot of tanker explosions. I recall that there was one that happened in Niger State. We're trying to recover from two happened in Niger State. Actually, we're trying to recover from Niger State, and we've seen another one happen in the Federal Capital Territory. We don't know which state is going to be next, and we're going into the festive period. People out there that are traveling, drivers need to know first, what are the root causes of this accidents? First, that's what we're trying to establish. Then also, are the roads safe? Then before we now start getting into the other phase of trying to understand.
The roads are not safe. Let me give you, we need to dive in more.
Okay.
If you are traveling on a Nigerian road, there are so many factors. One, you are afraid of kidnappers. We have mentioned that.
Nope.
If you are traveling on a Nigerian road, at the back of your mind, your vehicle can be stopped at any times with kidnappers. They come in from the forest. My junior brother was kidnapped at a time 2-3 years back. I personally took 3 million into the forest between Night Mile and what do they call this place? And Obolafo. I was on a bike for 2 hours moving into the forest where the kidnappers are. I was personally detained into that forest and hand over 3.5 million to them, cash that I took. To go down, the criminals want to take the money away from me. I have to battle into the market and escape. Because the kidnappers have kidnapped some people, and other criminals came out to see people who are coming to pay ransom. People will be coming with money. Can you see what's happening in the country? That's another factor. It's another serious factor on the Nigerian road. Crimes, insecurity, and criminality. When you say we talk about the problem, you see, I don't want to talk about the problem. It's better to talk about the solution. This is another problem. If you have somebody traveling from here to Lagos, now you will not sleep. You will be praying to know whether the person has arrived, because all the vehicle can be stopped at any point in time. And these people come in their numbers. It's not about 1 or 2 persons. You can see like 10 people with AK-47 coming from the forest shooting. So what will a policeman, 1 policeman or 2 policemen in the bus do to stop about 10 deadly kidnappers?
And we thought highway policing right now has improved in Nigeria.
No, the police are trying. The Nigerian police, they are trying. But they need to recruit more men. And within their system, censor and clean up bad eggs. Are you getting it? You cannot. What is the population of the Nigerian police that will police 230 million people when half of them are protected people in the National Assembly?
Oh, let's not get into that conversation. Let's not. We can't say that for sure. That
we need to. The big men in the society. If you have money, you get yourself protected. If you can pay, and then they secure you. But then we need to employ more private security measures and license more institutions. If possible, license some people to be able to protect themselves so that they don't die like a coward. But when the criminals are holding guns and the sincere ones are not holding guns, what is the enemies in that kind of society? What are you going to say?
Quite an interesting.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So these are nexus. They are connected. To tell you, when they tell you road accident is everybody's business, people think it's just a hearsay. They are connected. They are related, and there are so many ways they are associated with economic factors. You cannot rule it out, and everybody can be a victim. You cannot be a senator forever. You cannot be in the House of Rep forever. At the age of 90, if you are alive, will you be there? You'll be sleeping. You will now join the society and begin to feel the impulse and impact of your children and grandchildren falling victims of the laws and circumstances that's supposed to be in place when we're in the system that you not put in place. You can't keep quiet forever.
Let's bring this conversation back home a bit before we start talking about some of the recommendations and solutions. The coalition of road safety NGOs in Nigeria, you said that we have about 500 registered NGOs in Nigeria, or that's based on road safety, and we are still having these accidents in our roads. Are the NGOs doing enough in Nigeria in terms of sensitization, in terms of awareness, and also road accident prevention campaigns? And are they doing enough to be able to help mitigate the current accident rate that we have even on our roads, in terms of even the explosion? Like you're talking about emotions and all of this. Are the NGOs doing enough?
You are coming back home. So now that you are coming back home, let us dwell on it properly. The UN Decade of Action, like the United Nations Decade of Action on road safety and injury prevention, is a global platform. The first one was 2010 to 2020. It failed. it was acknowledged by the United Nations that the first decade failed. Now, the second decade was from 2021 to 2030. And one of the factors that was put in place by the United Nations and the Global Alliance is to involve NGOs in decision-making worldwide. That led to the formation of the coalition, of which Nigeria was one of the countries. First country that formed the coalition. That's COSAN, Coalition of Road Safety and NGO in Nigeria, of which I chair. Immediately the coalition was formed, the informations and others were sent to the United Nations, which is gazetted up to date, as I'm talking to you, under the Alliance and other global bodies. Now, one of the formulas released by the UN and the Alliance was that non-governmental organizations must be involved in decision-making in all countries of the world. Why? Now, NGOs are the eyes, the ears of the people. Civil society organizations. That is a mistake most people make in this part of the world. They are not aware. As I am now, nobody pays me salary. I pay, I use my, based on maybe donations from money I got from other business I do, to support this cause. Because at the end of the day, what is your role during your lifetime in your country? What did you do in the area of humanitarian gesture? These are questions that will answer in the great beyond, not complain. There's nothing like complain there. If you're out of this world and by the grace of God at old age, you can't go and be telling God because this guy do this one, that one do this one, that's why I do not know. What is your role, or what did you do when Nigeria was in turmoil? During the time of IBB, I'm not deviating. There's a slogan always on the radio, Nigeria. When Nigeria was in crisis, what did you do? What role did you play to take Nigeria out of this crisis? I'm not saying it was the best during the time. He has his own shortcoming. I know that. Now, in the context of road crisis, now, what are you doing to mitigate the crisis? Are you part of those who are complaining every day? Or turning to another political fiesta? When people gather that Tinubu is not working, and 10 people died yesterday, road safety is not working, 20 people died yesterday. Are you part of the political fiesta that will ignite the problem, or are you part of the solution?
So, what are NGOs doing enough in this regard?
I'm coming now.
All right.
Now, the government need to involve the NGOs, not ordinary NGOs, critical NGOs that have stake in the global affairs, that understand what it takes, not people who comes out to claim they are leading NGOs, they were doing this in Nigeria, they keep talking. What can you put on the table as a solution? What is your force? Like I told you now, it is a database. For example, if you talk of ISOP, International Society for Substance Use Professional, it's an organization that is out to fight drug abuse. We moved into the organization, we became members, we secure our place, we begin to tell them to campaign about the effects of drugs on road crashes. Already there are over 500 members here in Nigeria here, registered NGOs, fully committed to drug prevention, drug abuse in this country. They are over the world. ISOP, we moved there, we brought the issue of road safety into ISOP, trying to build a nexus between road accident prevention and drug abuse. Now, if you look around, NDLEA has seized thousands and billions of drugs.
Yeah.
Worth of drugs in the area of tramadol, cocaine, and other dangerous drugs. Ask yourself, people who take these drugs, are they not driving? Are they flying? Are they not on the road? So those are the things we are talking about. You need to bring all critical stakeholders together. That is why we advocate for interagency collaboration. That's what we call interagency collaboration.
So in the absence of all of these structures being put in place, in absence of government doing the needful, which it ought to do, are the NGOs taking extra step in sensitizing truck drivers, taking extra steps in sensitizing the general public on accident prevention?
No, we'll be doing, but we need to do more. Now, right now, there's need for a conference to bring in all the tanker drivers in Nigeria together. You have Nupeng, Pengasin, what do they call this other TUC, and the rest of them. If their drivers are even busy, they should send their managers, their safety managers. We are discussing with NOA, National Registration Agency, they are our partners. We have a committee of close to 18 directors, including the Prime Minister of Transport, the Road Safety, FEMA, the Nigeria Police, another critical, at the director level, there is a forum in place right now. So we are looking into all this to see how we can bring together agencies, institutions to fine-tune a way of tackling this problem. It's not enough that government set up a committee. Now that committee, how many NGOs are there? None. All the committees that tell me now, and even if NGOs are there, you will now begin to think whether they come into the back door or whether they have the power to solve the problem that we are talking about. Are you getting? So the NGOs are working. Let me answer your question now. By the way, these are what I just told you now, oversight, observations.
All right. So why I'm asking that question is, I'm asking you because I want to find out from you the number of accidents that we've had so far can be prevented, but sometimes we take steps to do what we call damage control instead of prevention. Now, that's why I'm asking what the NGOs are doing in terms of going to the trailers, organizations, and ensure that they do a voluntary orientational programs for the drivers, a voluntary flyers, a voluntary service to various truck drivers, drivers, and all of this, to ensure that we're able to reduce the number of road accidents, especially within tankers, and by so doing, curbing the number of explosions, truck explosions that we have in the country. That's why I'm asking if the NGOs are doing enough.
Let me give you a laid-down plan.
All right, please.
How to give you a laid-down plan? There's what we have: community advocacy. We have what do you call them? Community advocacy. You have public advocacy. You have town hall meetings. Are you getting me now? You have town hall meetings. Then you have religious advocacy network. This has to do with the churches and mosque. After every service, the churches are supposed to propel and project some safety, even if it's 1 minute, on their screen. After the Salah Muslim prayer, no matter what they do, you project 1 or 2 messages, road safety tips for people to see, because we all gather in the mosques and churches. We are not coming from another planet, except the traditional worshippers and others who are even hiding under the canopy of these two religions, because that is the one that is mostly accepted. That is, we as non-governmental organizations, my organization, for example, Road Accident Prevention Network, you can find us at www.rapnet.org.ng, www.rapnet.org.
So
if you go here, you will see some of our activities. You can even contribute and suggest a way forward. Now, for the coalition, there must be a kind of national conference and seminars and workshops. It's not just to go into the park. People have been going to the parks for years. Is it? If you go to our parks, now that's where you see Ogogoro and all this, what do you call this one? Sachet, something that they drink.
Not just leave that sachet. So
that is the market point. Now that came up with the position to ban them. They have been silenced. Are you hearing it again? There was a time now that came up last year that they want to ban sachet drinks, alcohol. Yeah. And the thing was all over. It even went to National Assembly. They say public hearing this and that. Are you hearing anything like that again? Why?
It's still on the pipeline, though.
No. See, why are you not hearing it? The companies that are driving these products are making huge profit. They are making millions and billions of naira. So they will not want to come and silence their business. But the consequences of road crashes, are they supporting awareness campaign? Are the alcohol companies part of the advocacy network in this country? No. I can go tell you no, because I have not benefited under any corporate social responsibilities. You understand? So it's not about NGO. What are NGOs doing? What are the subordinates or people who are around doing to support this effort? Because NGOs are not business oriented, or they call them non-profit organizations. So for them to drive and succeed, they will need the support of institutions and companies and even government to succeed. These are the things we are talking about.
So invariably NGOs and ours are stranded.
They are not stranded.
Their hands are tied.
They are, no.
Invariably NGOs are not doing enough.
No. They are doing enough.
Enlighten us.
They need to do more. You see, this is the type of critical questions you ask that sometimes scare people like us. It's not NGOs are trying, but they need more support. They need to be involved.
All right. So
in activities of government.
All right. You've mentioned all of this before now. So let's take the conversation forward at this point. We spoke about the fact that Nigeria has not yet reached that point of talking about having a 3-star road, as it were, in the country. All of this, if we put a time frame to all of this, do you think that we can get to that point?
No, definitely we can get there. It's not rocket science. For example, if you look at walkways, if you go to Utako in Abuja, for example, Utako, between Utako and Bega, you see 2 walkways. You know Utako market now. Now those 2 walkways are designed for pedestrians, people who trek. You see a car coming to that place. It's not. You see people leave the road and they will drive. Do you know how many people that can be knocked down? For somebody to take his car up the road and put it on the pedestrian walkway, that car should be seized forever. That's how it's done in Lagos. It's not even on pedestrian. If you drive on one way in Lagos, they seize your vehicle because they have a special task force in Lagos that handle all these issues. In Abuja, we don't have. What does that mean? So these are critical issues. These are issues that need to be handled, and we need. It's a collaborative effort. It's not about shifting blame. You'll be surprised. I don't know if the data has changed. Abuja is leading in road crashes, and we have the best road. That tells you that the better the road, the more the accident.
that sounds very interesting. the better the road.
Yeah, because people speed more and swap more and do all manner of rubbish more on those roads.
All right, so let's talk about the solutions to this challenge that we have. Let's begin from the truck explosions in the country. What can we do as a people to ensure that we are able to prevent these and put a stop to it? If not complete stop to it, at least make it infinitesimal low, the rate of explosions and then accidents in our roads.
Before, normally we have truck explosion, tankers explosion, but we have an additional factor now. Which is CNG, whatever.
And this the CNG, I think it's just recent. It's the first of its kind.
It's the first of its kind, and it's a new technology. That tells you that more will happen. One has happened. People say it's just one, and it's not their fault. They are trying to defend CNG. You cannot tell me CNG is 100% secured. There are some disadvantages, and some factors, and some training that need to go on within the public space, so that people know where and how to manage it if there's a crash or if there's an explosion. Those are the things we are talking about. There's no system that is 100% secured anywhere in the world. Technologically wise, there are disadvantages, there are challenges that you need to cope with and educate the public in the event of such incident and circumstances. What do you do, or what are you supposed to do? Some people pick up their phone to record in the event they go caught up in the explosion. They run from their house to where there's an accident.
as they want to do video with their phone, everybody is gone.
And it's really funny because these days you see accident happen instead of people to help people that are blind, people recording.
Yes.
It's quite sad.
So they feel they want to build up their, what do you call this in there?
Their followers on social media.
On social media, their network and all that, so that they can have more fans.
Okay.
That is their mentality. You see, so there is a lot of problems.
So how do we fix these problems?
This problem requires a national holistic approach. It's not about in the media, they are trying their best. Individuals are trying their best. The government need to call for a national conference and declare a state of emergency on the Nigerian roads.
Okay.
It's not declaring state. I'm not talking of what we are doing in Rivers State now.
No, what I mean by state of, when we said state of emergency, could national state of emergency for Nigerian roads?
Yes. Now, when you say national state of emergency on Nigerian roads, you are trying to draw attention of the masses to the calamities and tragedies that are happening on our roads, and then trying to bring them together to address the problem. You understand?
Yeah.
These are not political fictitious or manipulations that is designed to drive people's attention to a particular goal. When I said we need a state of emergency on the Nigerian road, most of our members believe in what I'm talking about. You have the NRTW, you have RITEN, you have NATO, you have the rest of them. They are one of these trucks. For example, NATO. Has NATO members passed through any national training on CNG? All their drivers or the safety stuff? How many NGOs are aware of those trainings? Or what are the precautionary measures put in place for the masses to know on how to escape when such tragedy happens? So it's not enough to say you are people gather in one place and be talking stories. You need to have a solution, a focus to solve problem. Okay, God forbid, how will somebody feel now? You feel comfortable and you fly, you don't move by a road in your office, and you receive a call now. One of your cousins has died in the village on road accident. In short, no, everybody, most prominent people dies now. It's only poor people that dies.
Well,
there's no everybody. There was a time the entire team, the secretary of the National Road Transport Workers, died on Niger Port Road before Nigeria Yasin came into office. The people that were there, all of them crashed and died on their way to the airport. Are you getting it? So these are national issues. It's not an issue that is restricted to some group of people or less privileged in the society, or there's some kind of judgmental principles I want to put in place for some people to escape it, or you are trying to bring in a policy that will cover some and leave some out of it. It's a national and global tragedy that requires national emergency.
And the president should declare state of emergency.
And the president should declare state of emergency on the Nigerian roads.
Well, it's a good way. It's a good way to say thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for being a part of the show this morning. Well, we'll go for a short break and then we'll come back. We'll still talk more even on Global Television. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, once again.
You're welcome.
I'll go for this break and we'll come back. We'll talk more on Global Television.
That Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Know that you cannot talk about a healthy nation if you don't have means to produce your own in addition to importing.
The CG is the principal actor of this because it's within her jurisdiction. Minister is a supervisor.
We must run in accordance with the Constitution of CAN, where you have just a single time.
The human factor, you have the infrastructural factor, then you have the mechanical factors.
The Senate, with all due respect, they were so hasty in passing that judgment.
The statement I'm about to make is we're not even aware.
That is the future.
You have to be aware before you can begin to be prepared.
All right, you're welcome back, and this is where we wrap it up on the program Global Morning. Hope you were well informed when it comes to issues surrounding the roads, tankers, all of these things encompassed. Talking about the CNG and, of course, the explosion. We cannot stop talking about it, how awareness needs to be created when it comes to issues like this. Like I said, my own opinion, Godwin, I said we can only allow these tankers move at night where there are less traffic, less individuals, so that there will not be casualties, God forbid, if anything is going to happen. It's very important that we put that into place. You mentioned about the three-tiered roads, right? And in Lagos we have that, but not for tankers though. We have for the BRT buses, we have the 1, 2, 3 lanes. I think we should inculcate that in every angle, and it will go a long way, where there are roads strictly for tankers to have a free passage. Very important.
Very important.
I'm sure the road transports
Union of Nigeria.
Of Nigeria, the rep that came here, threw more light on it.
When you even mentioned the fact that they should move at night, my fear is how secured are the roads? Because I was asking him, how secured is a Nigerian road right now? Because a lot of kidnappings, a lot of insecurity across the country. We can't take that out. And most of these truck drivers, they belong to a family. They are from a family. They belong to a community.
Yes,
so all of those factors need to be put. If we say put up a policy for them to drive at night, like you've said, you prefer them to drive at night. But then let's also talk about the security for these guys, because most tanker drivers, if you get to Shagamu, you see them parked there. At Shagamu. Ore and Shagamu, if you're coming in, you see them parked. Most of them sleep on those. They just sleep on those roads because they can't continue that journey. If they do, they might lose the content, what they are carrying. So most times, just safety also matters. So all of those things is something that, like the Mr. Prince Aceh said, that the government should declare a state of emergency even on the Nigerian road. And for me, I think I buy into that idea of declaring a state of draw awareness of people to the roads. Tell them this. A lot of sensitization needs to keep happening. A lot.
And funny enough, we don't have enough fire extinguishers. Most of the drivers, most cars do not have that, and it's very important in this case, especially when you have to do, especially tanker drivers need to have that, so in case, God forbid, anything happens, you just spray that in as quickly as possible to just douse the situation and make it cool than hot, and it causes explosion. Well, with that, we can never stop emphasizing and talking about explosions that has been happening, because lots of lives that matters have been involved in that particular incident. But with more awareness that we're going to be throwing, and we cannot stop talking about, it's very important that safety is key. It's very important that these drivers understand that a lot damages are done when there is just one small, what will I call it? There's a word I'm looking for. One small negligence or one small lackadaisical attitude, a lot of havoc can be caused. And at the same time, our roads need to be repaired. The roads are nothing to write home about. I think that's some of the problems that we have when the roads are not smooth and all of that. We still have a long way to go when it comes to all of that. And with that, we're wrapping up the program Global Morning, and it's a Tag Team Friday. And thank you all so much for being a part of the program. I am Jumai Manson with my co-host
Godwin Sunday.
Have an amazing day ahead. From Godwin and I, we say
bye-bye. Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.